Time is a very interesting thing. For the longest time, humans believed that it was a constant, unchangeable thing. As of the last 100 years, ever since Einstein released his theory of relativity, we've realized, you know what? Maybe that's not a certainty. Since then, we've been asking the question, is time even real? Are we real? Is this podcast real? Let's discuss. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so first off, I gotta say, I'm back. Happy to be back. Thank you for everybody who was, reaching out, worried. I was fine, just a little bit under the weather. Not corona. I did not have any single symptom of corona. It's just, for some reason, there's something like my nose. It's all on my nose, and it's swollen. It's really weird. Breathing was hard, and I still feel like I sound terrible, but I feel mostly fine. I just sound terrible, so hopefully I won't start coughing like crazy. Like the last podcast I did, I talked for 10 minutes, and I started coughing like crazy, so I needed to stop. And so I decided to take a few days off, and it was interesting because I got to be a part of the audience for the last 2 days. Like a part of the group of people aching for entertainment, and it was interesting. It was interesting because I got to go through a lot of stuff. I didn't really feel that well, and I just basically sat on my couch and consumed things. I was a consumer of entertainment, so I got to be on the other side for a little bit. Today, I don't think my luck has changed that much. I actually started the day kind of rough. My car did not want to turn on. And since my car, it's a manual transmission, if you push it and you manage to go fast enough, the car will start by itself. Well, I mean, it'll start because it's a manual transmission. I tried that. Where I park my car, there's a bit of you go a little bit downhill, and then you go into the street, and the street goes up. And so I did not get enough speed to actually make it go fast, to make it turn on, and then it was stuck in the street, so I had to push it back slightly uphill, which was very annoying. I had to kind of like seesaw it a little bit, and that's when I realized, wow, a week of not working out, a week of just sitting on my ass on the couch can really have an effect on your body. Also, I'm still not breathing 100%. Like, it's still hard for me to breathe, and I realized that very quickly at 4:45 in the morning today. It was a rough one. Anyway, so I've had some time to think, and I've pondered a few subjects, and one of the subjects that I was thinking about was time, mainly because we have a lot of time to kill. And so, first off, I want to get all the complicated stuff about time out of the way. And honestly, it's just because it's such a complicated topic that it's so hard to understand, and it'll give you migraines if you try to understand it. Very simply put, watch the movie Interstellar. Most people don't really understand why when they go to a certain planet, time moves faster in one space or the other. And the answer to that, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Time is relative, according to Einstein. If you are moving faster, or if you're closer to a strong gravity force, time moves slower for you. For example, if you have a clock, and if you have two clocks that are perfectly timed together, and one person is standing at sea level, and another person is standing at the top of Mount Everest, the clock at the top of Mount Everest will move slightly faster for two reasons. One, you're a little bit further away from gravity, from the Earth's gravitational pull, and two, since it is at the further end of the Earth's radius, it's spinning faster. So think about it this way. So, if you're in a race, if you're racing somebody in a circle, if you got the inside lane, you're moving. The distance that you have to run is shorter, right? So imagine there's two people running in a circle, and they have to stay perfectly together. So in order for them to stay together, the person in the outside lane has to be moving faster than the person in the inside lane, right? And for them to be on par the whole way. That's pretty much how that works. So one not only are you moving faster, but you're also further away from gravity. Now, why does this affect time? First off, is time even real? That's the question. Can you measure it? All right, can you measure time? I know what you're thinking. Well, yeah, the clocks. Really? Because depending, like I said, one clock that is on sea level and one clock that it's at the top of a mountain, they'll be measuring at different times. They won't be measuring the same thing. So can you measure it? Can you feel it? Can you point to it? How do you express time? Now, the way that most people, well, even Einstein believed that time is an illusion. That's why we've been dreaming about time travel forever. Now, and that's probably why I try to avoid time travel things as much as possible. They give me headaches, mainly because I try to figure out. I think that's the issue with it. My issue with time, anything that has to do with time travel, I always try to figure it out, and it always pisses me off because none of it ever works. It's a very interesting idea. Now, theoretically, you can all right, so the faster you go, slower time is, right? Imagine, have you ever had you're in a dangerous situation, you get hit by adrenaline, and things move slower around you, right? It's because you're moving faster, time goes slower. But did time really go slower? Is it still going the same way? Or is it just your perception of it? Now, perception of time is a real thing, and we'll get into that in a minute, because that's mainly what I want to talk about here. But I want to get the whole shebang out of the way, because a few months ago I did promise that I was going to talk about time a little bit. So, if the faster you go, then the slower time is, then is it possible that you can go so fast that time could actually go in reverse? Theoretically, no. But, well, I guess theoretically you could say yes, and that's what the Flash has done in comics and stuff like that. But the way that I look at it is you're seeing light in reverse. Now, let me explain that, because I know that that's going to be a bit confusing. So, the way that we perceive the world, humans mostly, the sense that we use the most is our eyes. And what our eyes do is they capture light, basically. They process light, and then our brain interprets it and whatever. But we perceive light, so our eyes, right? And so what we're seeing is, how can I explain this? Light is not just like you turn on a light and you can see everything in the room because it's illuminated. What you see is the reflection of the light in an object. I hope that makes sense. It's not like light is taking up space in a room. Is that light is hitting an object, and that light is being reflected into your eyes, and that's what you're processing. I'm hoping I explained that in a way that makes sense. So what we're seeing is light reflected. That's why we're always looking, or what we're seeing things is in the past. So you're never seeing light travels at 180,000 miles per second. It travels pretty fast. So you're basically, if something's like the computer right in front of me that's reflecting light on my keyboard and stuff like that, that's what I'm seeing it almost instantaneously, but it's a millisecond in the past. That's why, have you ever heard the expression that sometimes if the stars that you see in the sky, some of them might be dead already because they died millions of years ago, but they're billions of light years away? It's because the light is, while it was still alive, is still barely reaching us. Imagine that light is actually, it's a string, all right? And so it has its own lifespan, per se. You know, like the game, the snake thing, the snake game? Imagine light kind of works that way. So it's not just a constant thing that takes over a room. It's something that bounces, all right? Hopefully you're still with me. So we perceive light. We experience the world via light mostly. We also sound and all the stuff. You could argue that we also feel gravity, and actually gravity might even be more important. But what we see is via light. And light, as of this moment, the moment that I'm recording this podcast, is the speed limit to the universe. There's absolutely nothing that we know that's faster than light. And so, if we're seeing light at its appropriate speed, if we manage to go faster than that light, then we would be seeing light that was there before. Hopefully that makes a little sense. I'll try to expand it a little bit. All right, so the light that is hitting the Earth right now is this. In a second from now, it's going to be 180,000 miles from Earth because it bounced, right? It hit the Earth, and then it bounced somewhere else, And if somebody is within those 100,000 miles per second, that, like I said, 1 second before, it will be able to see Earth at that exact second that it's looking at it, right? Hopefully you're still with me. So, again, that light, it'll be able to see it. But if somebody were to travel faster than the speed of light and looks back on Earth, you would be seeing the light that was there before. So you'd be seeing it, you'd be seeing the light of the past, if that makes any sense. So you're not actually living in the past, you're not traveling in the past, but you are looking at the past. So again, imagine you have a telescope that can see far enough, and you have a ship that can travel fast enough, faster than the speed of light, and you just go in the opposite direction of Earth, and you keep looking at what your telescope, it keeps going, you would be seeing life on Earth in reverse. Again, you would have to go really fast and really far. The Earth's been alive for a few billion years. But theoretically, you could actually look at the past this way. Would you actually be living in the past? No, you would technically still be at the same time, if time is even a thing, in the same moment, but you'd be seeing things from the past happen because you are going faster than the speed limit of the universe, which is what we perceive. You'd be going faster than the thing we perceive. Hopefully you're still with me. I'm really hoping you're still with me. Now, theoretically, this is possible. In practice, what I said is just batshit crazy. All right? It's fun to think about, but putting it in practical terms, it is batshit insanity that I said. Because not only did you manage to break the speed limit of the universe, and miraculously not create a black hole or anything, or not destroy the universe, or kill yourself, but you managed to catch up to billions and billions of light years that already passed. All right? It's a complicated thing, but let's say nigh impossible, but it's fun to think about, and that basic principle could be adapted to other things. So, why am I saying this? Why am I talking about time? Why am I probably giving you a headache with all these things to think about? The answer is perception. All right, time really has to do, for as far as humans go, is perception, and that's actually a really easy way to simplify time because it's something we can understand. Now, there's this story. I don't know if it's Einstein or somebody else when he tried to explain relativity, and basically it's like if you put your hand on a hot oven for a second, it'll feel like an hour. If you spend an hour with a person that you're attracted to, it'll feel like a minute. So in the way, was it still the same amount of time? Yes, but the way you perceive it is different. Perception is key here. Perception is pretty much what we're all talking about. And in a way, that's also linked to memories, because that's actually another thing that has to do with time. So the people who claim that time really doesn't exist, that's just a collection of nows that are linked together by memories or records. So memories are important here. Perception is important here. Other animals do not perceive time the same way we do. The other animals don't really care. They just go by instinct. Why does humanity care? Why do we perceive it? Why did we actually even start thinking about it? All those great questions. The answer to all that is, I don't know. It's fun to think about, but we will actually never know because we weren't there unless we manage to go away and get in a spaceship and go away fast enough, look back enough, and actually be able to hear back there. Because so now not only do you need a telescope, you need a kick-ass boom mic. So really, it's impossible for us to know, but it's a fun thing that humanity has been pondering for let's say a millennia, because I think that the past, the present, the future are things that humanity has thought about for a really long time. At least I like to think so. So we're a collection of nows linked together by memories or records, right? I think that's an easy way to explain it. But there's also a whole bunch of stuff that goes in there too. So to wrap up the concept of time and to simplify it in the way that I'm going to be using it now, switching from time to perception, is that humanity, and actually this answer is pretty simple and pretty logical if you think about it, but humanity, for the most part, on average, we perceive time as 60 seconds per minute. Now, I know you're probably thinking like, well, that's fucking bullshit. That doesn't really explain anything, but unless you want to break your brain thinking about this, like I have for a few days, We perceive time 60 seconds per minute. If you ever wondered why, have you ever wondered about the importance of a minute? Now, I remember that the first time I actually thought about a minute, I was reading the book. I believe it was The Gunslinger. No, was it The Gunslinger? No, it wasn't The Gunslinger. It was one of the Dark Tower books. And in the Dark Tower books, that's Stephen King, when they were training, it's a flashback on when they were training a gunslinger, and the trainer very specifically says that it's important for a man to know how long a minute is. You actually need to have an internal clock that tells you how long a minute is. You need to be able to perceive it without any help whatsoever. Why? I thought about that for a long time. Why 1 minute? What's the importance of 1 minute? And in that particular world, time was moving on. It's a whole thing. I highly recommend the book. It's really good. But what's the importance of a minute? Why just 1 minute? Why not 20 seconds? Why 1 minute? What does that do to a person? And the answer is that it keeps you grounded. If you ever talk to anybody who's ever been, I don't know, locked up in a room or in a cell that they don't know, they can't see light or anything, usually the one thing that they say they ask for is they want to know what time it is. They when you don't know how long you've been someplace, you don't know how long you're going to be there, it drives you a little crazy because you're not grounded. So it's important for a man to know how long a minute is, and by the way, man, I mean humankind, because it gives you a sense of direction that it's purely and 100% controlled by you, right? You are the one that can actually feel that time. You're the one that can perceive it. It's your time. And you don't need anything else to guide you other than your own senses. Now, obviously, that's a very difficult thing to do. It's nigh impossible because once you fall asleep, you wake up, you don't even know what time, you don't even know what the hell is going on. You'll be very disoriented, but you try your best. And some people are better at this than others. For example, athletes have really good control of time. Especially, have you ever seen like a basketball game, buzzer beaters? Those people know how long a minute is. They know how long a second is. So great control of time. I work in radio. I work in live radio. We have to know exactly like how long it is till our next break when we have to be back. It's something that you feel. It's something that you sense. It's something that kind of we're all aware of. Just some people ignore it. Some people don't. And so time is right now kind of an enemy to people because you have a lot of time to waste. We are in an interesting scenario here. We're locked up at home. And like I said, I got to be part of the audience for a little bit. I got to sit back and experience things and just sit back and think. And honestly, I think thinking is it's not a bad thing. Overthinking is a bad thing. I've said that a million times before. Don't overthink. I think that's the expression that most people have said throughout history. Just don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. There's a difference between thinkers and doers. And overall, I think doers do more with their time than thinkers. Now, a good thinker can accomplish way more, but overall, I would always try to get a doer's help on something than a thinker's help on something. Why? Well, I guess good thinkers are really rare, but somebody thinking about a problem too hard, it's not, well, theoretically, some things might work. In practice, they don't. Just going back to the example that I did of looking into the past on a ship. Theoretically, it sounds sound. Practically, it's batshit crazy. So, doers have a tendency of knowing the easy solution. They can immediately tell you, I want to do something. And oh, how about we do this? A person who does will immediately tell you, oh, well, that's not going to work because of this. All right, so they'll give you the limits just pretty quick because they have real-world experience, per se. However, thinkers, on the other hand, tend to be a little bit more unreasonable. And unreasonable people are the reason why any progress in humanity has ever been made. For example, a pair of brothers one day said, you know what? I think we should fly. And everybody said, that's unreasonable. You're crazy. Humans can't fly. And then they built a plane and they started flying. So unreasonable people push progress. Doers actually help it come together. So we need one another. We need everything. And right now we're in a situation where doers do not have anything to do. That is a serious imbalance in the situation, and it could drive a person crazy. Doers like doing, right? People like keeping their hands busy. Whenever I'm at work and I want my day to go by faster, I just keep my hands busy the clock feels like it goes way faster because you're not inside your head. Again, perception of time is all 100% in your head unless you bring it into the real world. The way you bring it into the real world is moving at the pace of the real world. For example, again, humans can move 60 seconds per minute on average, unless adrenaline kicks in or stuff like that. So that's our average speed of movement. Let's say, and so I know that the things that I'm doing, this is how time is moving at a pace that I can keep control of. If I'm only up inside of my head thinking, then I really will lose perception of time. I'll lose perception of the real world. Again, this is all about perception. And so when I've been talking to people, and people, they're like, "Oh, this is driving me nuts. I've got nothing to do. I need something to like entertain." But the days feel so long, and I'm looking for stuff, and I can't. My advice here is find something to do with your hands. And by that, I'm not saying go jerk off or something. That's weird. Or I guess you can do it, but try to do something that grounds you, that keeps your hands busy, and keeps you. For example, gardening is a fun thing. Well, I guess I've never done gardening, but it's something you could be doing. Puzzles is something. My sister was doing a puzzle the other day. I just sat next to her and started helping. An hour went by, and I was like, "Damn it! I was supposed to go to bed already." Video games help. Sitting, thinking, or reading sometimes can also be hard. It depends on if you're a good reader or not. But it makes the days feel longer, and it feels like you have a lack of stuff. But what can you do? Honestly, the question is, what can you do? How much entertainment can you find? Well, for starters, let me give you some advice. Do not start thinking about time. I'm telling you, it'll drive you a little bit nuts. Having time to think about time will drive you nuts. And I know, I guess it's kind of contradictory that I'm telling you not to think about time in a podcast where I said that we're going to talk about time. Sue me. I don't care. I had it on my mind. I wanted to get it out. And also because I think it's kind of interesting. And also because it leads to other things. Now, if you remember, a few minutes ago, I mentioned that time is a collection of nows linked together by memories or records, right? That means if you don't write it down, it didn't happen. There's a bunch of phrases that have to do with that. I'll never forget it from Mad Men, an old Chinese proverb that the faintest ink is greater than the best memory, which is true. Honestly, it's always better to write things down. That's why I always try to take notes about things that I want to remember, stuff like that. And I remember this phrase actually got me thinking a lot for a really long time. Again, it's a bad idea to be a thinker. It's really bad. The problem with me is I have a lot to do during the day, and at night I'm just sitting. I have issues sleeping. I'm just sitting there on the roof, and I start thinking about a whole bunch of stuff, and that keeps me up. And it's a thing. It's an issue. But I'll never forget this phrase, and this is what I want to talk about now. All right. Again, keep in mind. A collection of nows linked together by memories and records. That's what time is according to all the smarty pants. All right. So I'm going to ask you a question. This is from the video game, actually, Kingdom Hearts 3. Here's the question. Are the memories we share with the people we love our only true connection to them? Think about it. Think about it for a second, and I'll tell you the question again. Are the memories we share with the people we love our only true connection to them? So, first off, let's break down. If we already agreed that time is basically linked by memories, then basically the question is saying, is the time we spend with the people we love our only true connection to them? The time we spend together. And then remembering that time together. Is that the only thing? Can you truly love somebody if you don't spend time with them? Is that a thing? Can somebody truly love you if they don't really spend time with you? How does if you erased your memory right now, if you've lost every single thing you've done, would your link still be there? Are you bound by blood? Are we bound by something more than blood? What are we bound to? Do other people's memories count? Like, for example, I erased my memories of the people I love, but the people who loved me, I mean, I hope so. I hope there's somebody out there, my mom or somebody, but my dogs at least. But do their memories count? Do you feel the love that they feel for you? Does that count? It's a very interesting question that I would like to to dwell on a little bit more, but at the same time, I know that I'm not supposed to be dwelling on stuff that I can't control or stuff. The issue with all these topics is that it's things that we can't control. Just like the whole situation that we're in right now, the lockdown and everything, it's stuff that we can't control. And that's why it's so fascinating. It's really, really intriguing, at least for me. But again, let's go back. I'm sorry, I took you away from the question. Also, I'll say it again. Are the memories we share with the people we love our only true connection to them? Are we only bound together by memories, by time? Think about it. Can you love somebody you've never met? Like, I don't know, let's say an ancestor. Or let's say let's say people who love artists, who are really obsessed by them and they love them. Like, oh, I love this person. Yeah, I'm a big fan. You've never really spent time together, but you have memories of that person in your life, but they don't, of yours. They don't know who you are. Does that count? Is that how that works? Is that how we connect with each other? Is it enough? Honestly, are memories enough to share, to bind us together, to bring us together? Or is it actual physical contact that we need? Is it actual time? Or is it actually just caring? Is it feeling like somebody actually cares about you? Like, what convinces you of that? Is it actions? Is it words? And then again, if it's actions, then are words less important? What if somebody, there's something I've always said, if somebody shows you that they love you with their actions, is it more important than if somebody tells you that they love you? And what if somebody tells you that they love you and they don't show it with their actions? What if they're actually dicks to you? Which one is more important? Which one counts more? And this also comes back to if you guys remember my review with Onward, like I said, the actual antagonist there is time. Like, have you actually taken advantage of the time that you have? If you have a limited amount, if you know how much time you have, for sure, with somebody, have you actually taken advantage of it? Have you actually embraced it to its fullest? Do you actually feel like you've used your time to its fullest? All these are great questions. All these are interesting questions. And all the answers to each and every single one of these questions is different for all of you. I'm just asking them. And I'm hoping that, first off, you found this topic interesting, because I've had it in my mind a lot. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it, not only because I promised that I would, is because it reminded me of one of the best pieces of advice I ever got. And this was from my therapist. And it was back when I was training for a triathlon. And he asked me, "Oh, how are you enjoying the training?" And I told them, "Well, I'm powering through it. You know, it's a lot of time. You gotta put in a lot of hours every single day, and I'm powering through it." And his answer was, "Have you ever considered enjoying it?" And honestly, that stunned me, because it never even crossed my mind. I believe I talked about this before, so I won't dwell on it too long. But have you ever considered enjoying it? Now, for an overthinker like me, that was never even an option before. I had never even considered it. It never even crossed my mind. And so it was basically I was worrying about things that I could not control. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be worried about the situation right now. It's important that you still, stay aware, try to do whatever you can, but try not to worry too much about the things that you can't control. Don't obsess about time. Do whatever you can, even if it's building memories with the people you love, creating connections, strengthening them. Try your best to enjoy it, not just suffer through it. Because if you want to suffer through it, I can guarantee you will. Try to enjoy it a little. What I used to do is I used to ground myself with something beautiful, whether it was an image, landscape, song, I don't know, person. Try to find something that's beautiful, something that you enjoy. It'll help you keep you grounded, which is right now what I think that most people need. They need to feel grounded, some sense of normalcy, some sense of control in a situation where you have none. Again, you need to know how long a minute is. That way, you're in control of time. Time's not in control of you. You perceive it the way you want to perceive it. Hopefully that makes any sense. Hopefully I explained myself. And if I didn't, well, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm not a scientist. Actually, technically I am a scientist, but I'm not that kind of scientist. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully tomorrow I will be sounding better. I'm here, 30 minutes? I still haven't coughed yet. Hopefully we'll continue tomorrow. I'll knock on wood on that. But, oh, I forgot. Comments, questions, suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or at SuperDario_World. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.